What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Ballin' Out once again with your host Shawn and Grant. As we're getting to the end of the season, NBA season here, just down to four teams left in each conference finals. The winner of those will go on to the NBA finals for 2025 here. But we're going to talk about the conference finals, look back at the second round, discuss about the losers a little bit, what their next steps will be, and then there's also some things draft lottery, Giannis. We got some things we might drop some tidbits on here today. So yeah, I guess Grant, where you wanna start? I guess with the NBA. Since we last potted, it's been a lot that's transpired and happened. So yeah,
Yeah,
where do you
no, you're right. The second round was good. I say we start off with let's get a little spicy. Let's go right into that Celtics and Knicks series
start?
because that was good. That was damn good. I was tuned in for basically every single one of those games. I was locked in.
Yeah, no, it was a good series. 6 games. The Celtics couldn't extend it to 7. Unfortunately, they had the Jason Tatum loss. With the Achilles injury, which was terrible. Because before that, I mean, man was hooping. He was lighting it up. It was like he couldn't miss a shot. And yeah, then he went down, and it kind of took everything away from the Celtics. But they were able to bounce back in Game 5, but lost in 6 blowouts. But overall, yeah, like you said, like the series was good. I thought the intensity for both the teams were good. Just looking back at it, like Game 1 and 2, if Boston would have been able to take those games, I think it would have been a little bit different. But they got away. Literally last second, the last like 2 minutes of each of those games. That's all you need to watch to see the turn of events that happened, which is crazy. And I think losing home court advantage was definitely something that was big, and yeah, it ultimately hurt the Celtics and their chances to repeat this year. So I don't know what they're gonna do next. It's a lot of questions obviously with Tatum's injury. People are talking about this team be broken up due to the whole new CBA and whatnot. So you can see like Drew Holiday gone, Porzingis gone. Um, but I guess my thing is how long can Jaylen Brown be a reliable number one option? Like if you were able to keep that team together with Jaylen Brown, like I think they'd probably still be 1-2 in the East. But I don't know if you take away like Porzingis or like Drew Holiday, I don't know if you're going to be able to be on top of the 1-2 with the top of the East next year. But I could be wrong. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they'd be because the thing too is we'll probably get into it a little bit with Giannis potentially leaving the East to go out west somewhere. The East is not going to be as good as it's. I mean, hasn't been great historically, we'll say, but I mean, the East is going to be relatively pretty nice to be in. If you're, like, for example, our Pistons out there, like, I think there's some room to grow for these, like, kind of smaller teams, if you will, and kind of get out there. So the Celtics, so the thing is, like, with Tatum's injury, like, he's not going to be obviously out there for, like, the beginning of next season either. He's going to be missing a whole bunch of time there. You have all these pieces where, look, if you can get rid of some of these guys for solid picks, solid, role playing guys like I think Porzingis is gone. Like you said, I mean I think you hit that on the head there. Drew Holiday is definitely getting shipped off. I wouldn't be shocked if Jaylen Brown gets shipped off too. They send out those three guys right there. You build around because you still have some good pieces there. Like Peyton Pritchard's a good dude. Good dude to have on your team there. Good backup if you will. Um, like they still got guys. Derek White, obviously an absolute baller. So it's like you're still not far off. Like when Tatum comes back, and if he is like even a little bit of what he has been, like you're gonna have a good team. So I think if you were to do it right now when necessary, because I don't think next year, like even with Tatum being out, I don't think because they obviously had to do something with the whole new NBA structure and all of that in terms of contracts and everything there. So I think if you were to get rid of those three core guys right there, build up some draft picks again, build up a couple other solid role players around there. Obviously, next year is not going to be the same. You're not going to. I mean, I don't see him going far next year, just in the sense that you're going to be losing guys anyway. It's going to be a different team without Tatum. So with that, I'm like, you might as well get ahead of the ship and just, dish out some of these guys, get some good picks, get some solid guys you can get for a good contracts and everything too. If you were to re-sign them, and then kind of go from there. So I think personally, I think they're going to blow it up. I mean, I think it's really going to be. You're going to see a lot of those guys, like I mentioned, those big three right there, getting shipped off. So I'm kind of curious to see, obviously, what Tatum comes back like, because I think they're still not far out of it. I mean, we saw this year in the playoffs, just speaking on that too, real quick. They were right there in games 1 and 2. Like, they could have easily been, Celtics in 5, Celtics in 6. Obviously, with Tatum going down that, because he was cooking that game. He was cooking 42, whatever, I think 42 or 44, like, and he went down, obviously. I don't know if they would have won that game necessarily, but, like, I mean, even that right there, you're talking one game away from going potentially back to Eastern Conference Finals, and who knows what happens from there. So, again, just with that being said, I think they blow it up. I think we're going to see a much, much different Celtics team, which I think a lot of people already expect that. I don't think that's like a shocker by any means whatsoever, but I'd say just get ahead of the curve. Seriously. Like, get these picks, get these younger players out there, and see what you can do moving forward.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea to, kind of, I guess, retool in a sense. There'll still be, they're still going to make the playoffs. It is the East, so they'll still make the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Unless they decide to completely blow it up, trade literally everyone away, have Tatum waiting there for 27. But I mean, yeah, I don't think that the title aspirations are going to be as high next year, with the Tatum injury and everything like that. So it is interesting, to see, what they could do. The Celtics, have done it before. They've blown teams up and out of the blue, and got a great return. The great Danny Ainge has done it. So I'm sure Brad Stevens has something up his sleeves,
Mm-hmm.
to kind of retool and do. I did see, the Celtics that interviewed Cooper Flagg. I don't think Nico Harrison would be that stupid to trade that again, even though anything could happen these days. But yeah, no. So yeah, I like that. That's a good take. It'll be interesting to see what they do. Speaking of Giannis, I'll just go ahead and say my piece about that. That's just crazy. If he ends up leaving the East, really, I think it's open for anyone. Like, I think it's fair
Mm-hmm.
game.
Oh, yeah.
Because I mean the Cavs. I don't need to say anything about that. I'll save that for my series. Pacers or Knicks, they could possibly do something, but I just, I don't think so. Philly, if they were smart, and maybe moved on from either Embiid or Paul George, maybe they could do something. And then everybody else is just, in the middle right there. I could see the Pistons, they can make that jump. But,
Oh, yeah.
it just depends on,
Easily.
yeah, who's healthy and, you know, if Cade can make that, I guess, that MVP jump, to become, like a one type of guy. Um, but where do you think Giannis could potentially go? Everyone said Houston or Spurs just because they have the most assets. I don't think it's going to be one of those teams. I think it's going to be some other team than one of those two teams in Texas. I just don't know.
See, I really think it's going to be the Spurs. I mean, I would lay all my eggs in that basket. I think I've said this for a while too now. Like, you put Giannis on that team, like Giannis and that team would be so good defensively. I mean, they would be insanely good. And at the end of the day, defense is going to win you championships. Obviously, you need the offense too, but like they will be fine. So that's why I think it makes the most sense for him. He wants to still compete, wants to get out there, get back to a championship again, and he wants no income tax. I mean, that's the rumor going around the street, and I think it just makes so much sense. Because again, I mean, Spurs have so many, good assets. They're younger guys. I'm curious to see who they, would give up in that situation. We've seen just some crazy trades recently with, like no picks being involved or like no. It's been very interesting. So I'm not sure. I couldn't even tell you what like trade packages you'd be talking about because it's been so up and down as of recent times here. So
Yeah,
that'd be my guess. So I would think he would want to play there. I'd want to play there for sure. Just a historic program that's accomplished a good amount in the past, what, 3, 4 decades or whatnot.
yeah, damn near.
So yeah, I mean, I think that was where I would pick personally. Like, if I were Giannis myself too, after giving the Bucks everything, getting them to a championship, getting all that done. So like, this point, like it's not working out with Dame. So like, I want to see where I can go win some more, and I think that's an absolutely perfect spot.
Yeah, my only thing with like Spurs is like, okay, yeah, they have obviously a lot of young talent. Do you put Stephon Castle in that though? Like that's my whole thing. I'm not putting Stephon Castle in that trade. They're gonna ask for him. I don't think I can put Stephon Castle in that trade. I'd rather put Fox. Yeah, like yeah, I just got him, but I think if they got to put Stephon Castle in there, I don't know if I'm sold on that. I just like yeah, you know what you're gonna get from De'Aaron Fox, but like at the same time, like Stephon Castle just won Rookie of the Year. You have no idea what kind of potential. He's a 6'7" guard. You have no idea, what kind of potential he could be. He moves like a point guard out there, but he's really a shooting guard. So um, I just think
See,
like
that
him, Giannis, and Wemby would be much more deadlier than Fox, Giannis, and Wemby.
See, yeah, I'm not discrediting that whatsoever. It's just like also, if you were to give up him, how much more do you have to give up too? Like how much we talking? Because I don't think it's like if you're talking that and you still get to keep some of the picks, you're still get to keep the whole rest of the core for the most part. Then I'm thinking, I'm like, well, shoot, if we want to start winning right now, because I mean, De'Aaron Fox younger, Wemby obviously extremely young, Giannis is still like in the prime of his game, so it's like you'd have that window for still another 5, 6 years guaranteed right there, you
Yeah,
know. So that's kind of why I'm like, I mean, don't get me wrong, yes, like it would suck to lose, Stephon Castle if you're the Spurs, but like you also know what you're getting. Like these guys have been proven. It's just like you have such a big window still. Like obviously, if we're talking like, say Giannis was maybe like 5 years older, Wemby was 5, 6 years older too, De'Aaron Fox, all that. Then I'm kind of like, okay, like I understand the hesitancy to be like I don't know, but right now it's like you have a perfect opportunity to win for a while too. So that's why I think I would still include him. Which yeah, don't get me wrong, like it would hurt to do so, but like you know what you're getting, and it gives you that win now opportunity. Which I think personally, I think it's a no brainer.
yeah.
I would do it in a
I
heartbeat.
I agree. I will say last thing on it, just like I did see a report. I don't know how true it is, but I did see a report that the GM on the Bucks said, you know, if Giannis was to come available of trade, because he hasn't like officially requested or anything like that, but if he was, to come available, he'd gut the whole team. That's what I was like, you know, you're gonna get that whole Spurs team. Just obviously Wemby's untouchable, but you're gonna give them everybody just for Giannis, which still I'm sure the Spurs can make it happen and make it work. They probably wouldn't care, but at the same time, it's like how much are you really losing? Because most of those Spurs guys have been there for the last 3, 4 years. How long have they been bad? Yeah, ever since they've been bad. Most of those guys have been there. They haven't really made any big splashes except for De'Aaron Fox trade. So interesting. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if that'll definitely shake up the summer. Because
Oh yeah,
KD is
hundred
supposed to be
percent.
on the move and stuff like that. So yeah, the league could really change. I got no idea. The last thing before we get into the playoffs, mention his name, Nico Harrison. He got some luck on his side, and
Yeah,
he
yeah,
got
it is.
luck, and got the won the NBA lottery. So they're now getting Cooper Flagg. It just it sucks. I'll just say this: it sucks for the worst teams in the league. Not really have a chance at the number one pick, but it is what it is. I guess you got to trade your best player to potentially for a crazy trade to potentially first pick next year. So I don't know.
See the whole like theory, like I love the theory, of course. Like theories are awesome, but like what are the actual chances of the NBA being like rigged? Because you gotta think, imagine, right? Imagine that actually comes out. Like that like say somebody says like, yep, like it actually is rigged, they got proof here. Like that would be so difficult and that would cost the NBA so much money. Like
Oh yeah,
because every single team would sue them, and say like, I mean, at the end of the day, like, well, if we would have got such and such, or like just another big draft, like Wemby or LeBron, like some of those drafts, like, and you're talking like we didn't even have a chance, like you would sue for, I mean, everything that they got, and the NBA would be cooked. So I mean, if I'm the NBA, which I mean, hey, if they are, they're doing a good job with it. Like you can never let that get to the light of day. Like you gotta kill somebody or something like that before that reaches anybody else. Because if that's the case, dude, like the NBA is done for. So I just like I don't know. I think it's like, obviously I think it's like a good like theory to talk about. I just like the actual odds of it being rigged. Like they
yeah,
gotta be so slim. Because like I
yeah.
mean I'm telling you that would destroy the NBA. Like they'd be
But
cooked.
so many people wouldn't watch anymore. I probably wouldn't watch anymore. I love
I
it.
wouldn't watch.
We like it, so we probably gonna watch it.
Yeah, I mean exactly. Like you're losing everybody. At that point, the
Yeah,
WNBA is going to have more fans, and that's not speaking too many, you know.
right. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's I don't think that like he was rigged or anything like that. I just they had some luck on their side, but
Oh yeah, they
yeah,
definitely had luck.
yeah. I just think feel bad for like the Wizards and Hornets fans because they ain't getting none. They ain't getting none
Yeah,
in
they
this
didn't even
draft.
get like the top two pick even. Like they didn't even get top two. Like, well, that's the worst part. I feel bad for them. Like they were terrible, and they were like, what? The Wizards were five, or what was it? I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
like
five. And Philly got the third spot. And they just got a superstar, last or superstar, whatever you want to call
that's what I'm
him.
saying. Like it's just like it's crazy. I mean, it is definitely just wild. Like just the way it all like lined up this year.
Yeah, nah, for real. It's yeah. So supposedly, Cooper Flagg is supposed to be a Maverick. We'll see. Obviously, if Nico Harrison changes his mind within the
I'd be
next.
shocked,
But
shocked.
yeah, I would. Seeing as the owner and everybody has literally said like, yeah, it's a lock, like Cooper Flagg, and I'm sure they've already made the calls and stuff to him and told him da da da. He's picking out houses at this point, so it would
Oh
really
yeah,
be like a turn of events if he doesn't get drafted by them. But hey, we'll see. Anything can happen, I guess, with Nico Harrison. So if he learns that
yeah,
back,
yeah. I mean, seriously, if he doesn't, he's literally getting ran out of town with pitchforks and like it's done. Like that man, I wouldn't even know what to do. Like if
it's
not
all
only you trade away Luca, you also give up on Cooper Flagg. Like you gotta have like I mean you gotta get everybody, but you better get Luca back somehow. You better get I mean something like the prime Michael Jordan himself on your team. Like I don't know what would possibly possess him to do something that crazy, but like I said, yeah, it's Nico Harrison. He's a very interesting cat, so we'll see.
hey man, anything can happen. Who
Anything can
knows?
happen.
Man, for real. But yeah. So let's talk some playoffs a little bit. Let's go back to round two. The recent. Let's start in the Eastern Conference. We'll start with the Cavs and Pacers. The Pacers walks the Cavs out of the gym 4-1. Everyone says, "Oh yeah, the Cavs were hurt and da da da." Well, yeah, everybody else is hurt too. You don't see them complaining. It was just same thing that we've always said. I don't got too much, so I'll just say this: Donovan Mitchell led teams. Another chapter. That's all. That's all it is. This year is just another chapter, and so you know what Cleveland ends up doing at this point. I have no idea. I think that they learned that maybe it's time to get away from the double bigs. Maybe Darius Garland's gone, but I don't know. I don't think that at this point Donovan Mitchell finals he might have to go to the Knicks and become the sixth man or something.
Yeah, Cavs are just so cooked. They really are. I don't even think they do anything at all either, which is the saddest part. Like I think it's just going to be copy, paste, and then we're going to be having the same conversation the exact same time next year. We've said every I don't know how many times we can keep saying the same thing. I mean, I sound like a broken record. It's just like, oh,
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell, fantastic regular season, fantastic team overall, number one seed, number two seed, whatever it is, and then they lose in the second round. It's like, I mean, it's like one of those cycles. It's like good team, Donovan Mitchell, Biggs, and then lose in second round. And we are here. Yeah, we are here. We are here. That's exactly how it goes. It's literally clockwork for people like us to talk about because it's happens so often.
like you said, I don't know what they do, and they probably do run it back. They're probably like, yeah, we just got to make this adjustment and that adjustment, and the same thing's gonna happen,
And
next year.
nothing. Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, yeah. So I honestly I don't know what they end up doing, but yeah, it's just sad. Maybe Donovan Mitchell just needs to take off the regular season, be like the 8th seed or something, and maybe he'll actually have some luck. I honestly don't know, but yeah,
Yeah,
crazy.
I couldn't tell you. I literally don't think they do anything, and it's the exact same thing. Um,
Yeah,
we've
I
talked
don't know.
about it.
Yeah, I know. That's what I said. I don't have many words at this point. It was already I told you so. So the Pacers they moved on. We already talked about Boston and the Knicks. That series, it started today, Wednesday, as we're recording this. I mean, thoughts on this series? How it's going to end up? I think it's a 7-game dogfight.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know
I think
who
the
comes out,
exact same thing.
but yeah, it don't matter because they're getting smacked in the finals. That's the thing. A 7-game dogfight. just get whooped in the finals by either OKC or Minnesota in like 5, 6 games. It's gonna be bad. So
Yeah, I want to lean Knicks a little bit just because the Knicks are damn good, but also like Halliburton showed up so. I mean, he's just been so clutch. Same thing with Jalen Brunson though. So you can't really. I mean, those two. It's just gonna be a dogfight. I mean, I think it's on right now actually as we're speaking now. But I haven't even looked at the score. I got no idea. I would lean Knicks though still, but like it's gonna be good. I think that the Knicks are just tougher, honestly. I think it's either 6 or 7, and Knicks in 6 probably would be my guess there. Knicks are just, I mean, they're good. I'll give them that. Like they're definitely good, and we'll get to the West obviously, but I think the Thunder still come out of that series. I think it originally had said that no number one seed's gonna win it. I might be wrong. I might be wrong because Thunder are just good. Doesn't matter what position they're in. I mean, like the Nuggets obviously had them in a dogfight, which we'll get to that in just a second, but like the Thunder just can finish games. Like they just get the job done, and like I think we just see times where like we saw it a couple times with the Knicks here and there, where like they just go on these bad stretches, and Thunder, yes, they do too, but like they bounce back so well every single time. Like it's literally that's like the Donovan Mitchell clockwork. Like it's very consistent. They're just very good. So yeah, we can jump into that series if you want right now, real quick. The
yeah,
Nuggets
yeah. I mean,
and
yeah. Let's
that
get
was a
into
good
it.
series overall. That was a damn good series. Game 7 was tough. Game 7 was really tough.
I think it just came down to like Denver didn't have more gas. Like they came off a 7 game series, literally series before in the first round, and then after that they played basically every other day. And kind of like Aaron Gordon said, it took a toll on him. They was tired and everything like that, and travel and all of that. Like that takes a lot. So obviously it's their job, so not gonna rip them too much. But I think it just came down, just tired legs, being tired, uh,
Yeah.
being outworked by a young, hungrier team that kind of just wanted it more. So, uh, and I think you mentioned too, like how OKC they'll go on these stretches where they don't score and things like that to make up for the other teams. Their defense, I think that's what really is gonna get them far. I'm on the fence. If they can beat Minnesota game 1, I mean, obviously OKC dominated the second half, so I'm leaning more towards OKC. Like I'm not counting out Minnesota yet, just because of what they've been able to do all year. But going back to the Thunder, like this Thunder team is good. If they end up going to the finals, it doesn't matter whoever represents the East. Like 5 games, I don't, especially if Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren can show up game in, game out, which they struggled a lot during that Denver series. Jalen Williams in particular, like was just missing like easy layups. Chet was missing like, easy putbacks, open shots, and so I think that's what they're gonna need. They're gonna need the team. Shea's gonna get his. Just won the MVP. He's gonna get his 30 or whatever. He's gonna go to the line, but it comes down to the other guys if they can take advantage of those opportunities.
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, Thunder is deep. I mean, I think they've kind of heard the talk too. Like last year, we were too young, couldn't do this, can't do that. They kind of took it to that next level now, and they're really playing some good team ball right now, and it's fun to watch. It's been damn good. I think if the Knicks get there though, I think it's going to be a better series than we think. I still got Thunder in 6, but I got them in 6 to say that. I think it's just the Knicks are just very gritty. They're very tough, and I think they're going to make it tough on Chet Holmgren. I think they're going to make it tough on Shy, which if they can at least get those two kind of figured out there. I think it'll be a good dogfight. But Thunder just I mean you can just see it too. Like it looks like they're playing, and they're playing really good team ball, and they're very connected as a team. And like I think they're just hungry for it. That's all at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I kind of see them taking this one, winning the whole thing. But Thunder Knicks would be my pick right now for what I'd like to see.
Mm. A Thunder Knicks isn't bad. I like to see Wolves Knicks just to see who won that trade between
Yeah.
Randall and Cat.
I mean that would be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be. I mean, I think that would be like what the one time in NBA history in a while that I get to see if a trade paid off. In the last month of the season. Um, so that'd be like, but you really think that OKC is gonna beat them beat them in 6. Minnesota.
I do. I just Anthony Edwards, like I get it, he's a dog and everything, but like he just goes through these just bad shooting slumps I've seen lately, and it just hasn't looked like this Thunder team is just damn good. I think like the T Wolves got to literally play like I mean like on a rating scale, they got to play A. They got to bring the right game every single time, and I
Yeah.
just like I don't know what you do sometimes with Rudy. Like I just don't think there's just dead zones I see with like within their offense and stuff. And it's just tough. Like you can't take those off. Like even when we saw the Timberwolves, they were up by 4. Starting game one, it quickly disappeared real quick when the Thunder started kind of getting in check. I'll say Shea actually started making some more of his shots. We only had 11 points in the first half. Finished with 31 or whatever it was. Like
Yeah.
he just
Crazy.
like that's just the thing. They just like they turn it on so quick. Timberwolves are kind of like how the Pistons were at times. Like at the end of that Knicks series, like just nothing. Like it was just kind of like we're waiting for you to do something, and like you can't do that against the Thunder. I think it's going to be Thunder in 6, and then I think the same thing over on the. I think it's going to be both 6 and 6 if we're going to be honest. That's my take at least.
Hmm.
Knicks in 6, Thunder in 6.
I can see both series going to 6. I see if I could give a pick. Honestly, I'd probably go New York, even though I don't want to say New York because I just don't like New York for but you know out of the West, like OKC, I think we both said it. Like they've been the best team in the league all year long. So if they win it, yeah, they obviously are deserving of it. Minnesota just Julius Randle. I don't know what bro's been on, but I mean, they really if Anthony Edwards could be more consistent, and I think some more guys can step up, like Nas Reed and Jaden McDaniels, Dante DiVincenzo. He's been really quiet this offseason or this postseason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like if those guys can show up, because Julius Randle's shooting damn near 40 footers, draining them and making it. Like I was watching that first half last night, and I'm like, what is he on? Missed one shot, and then second half, Thunder changed their defense and kind of contained Julius. I'm not exactly sure how many he got in the second half, but it wasn't too many more that he ended up with. So I just I like the defense. I will say I like the defense of the Thunder, and I think Minnesota, they're gonna have to clean up a lot of things if they want to be able to
Yeah.
stay in this series. Because I don't know if they lose game 2. I don't know. Depending on if it's a close game, then I'll give them benefit of the doubt. They could probably get game 3 at home. But if it's another blowout, this series could be ended in 5. I could see it, unfortunately.
That's just the Thunder are just good. Like they just Like, I mean, Julius Randle, I think it was 5 threes in the first quarter or something, whatever first half, whatever the heck it was. I mean, dude was just on fire. And then I don't know if he even scored in the second half. Like Anthony Edwards didn't score in the fourth quarter. There's just things like that where you're just like you want to beat this team, man. You gotta show up. And I mean, it takes one quarter really for things to start changing. I mean, Timberwolves were up at halftime and they lost by what 17 or whatever it was. I didn't see the
Yep.
actual. I watched it, but I forget the exact score. But just like you just can't do that. I feel like we get this with the Timberwolves here and there too much this playoffs. I don't think they've been tested enough either too. Like we didn't even speak on this series like Timberwolves Warriors. Obviously, I know Steph wasn't really theirs, but it's like they feel like they didn't have to really try a whole lot. Obviously, I know there was like still the Warriors team with Jimmy Butler, Draymond, some of those other guys, but it's just like Thunder just went through a gritty 7 game series, and in Game 7, what they do? They won by like 20 points or whatever it
Yeah.
was. It's a very good Nuggets team, so it's like I think being battle tested too. I mean, like I think we've talked about this before. It's either going to be like you're gonna come out, you're gonna be so tired the next game, and it's just gonna downfall on you. We're just gonna keep that same energy more or less, and you're just gonna keep going. That's what I think we're getting with this Thunder team is they're just continuing on. Timberwolves just haven't had that team yet. That's like that they've gone against. I mean, the Lakers just. I mean, it's really just LeBron and Luka at that point, and even that, like on offense, you can still cook against that. That's no problem. I mean, we saw Rudy Gobert do it for fuck's sake. Like, I mean, seriously. Like, so they just haven't been tested like that, and the Thunder have, and I think that's going to play the biggest key. I think going forward too.
Yeah, I'd agree. I would definitely agree. I think, there's a little bit more team and togetherness with this Thunder team than the other two opponents that the Timberwolves played. Because yeah, you mentioned the Warriors, which I forgot to say something about that. Jimmy Butler, man, it is what it is, but that contract extension is looking pretty rough right now. It's not looking too good. I won't say too much about that. But jokes on Draymond though, because he said they thought
Oh
he
yeah,
was going to win the championship. You're an
yeah,
All Star
yeah.
break, really,
Okay,
bro, really came off. I think no. Let me change that. We will, yeah. You will get an early ticket to Cancun. That's what you will.
exactly. Yeah, come on now. Grandma writing checks, his mouth can't cash, bro.
Nah, for real. But yeah, so yeah, the Eastern Conference Finals, Western Conference Finals. I think it's like every other day now that there's one game on, and then we'll get to the finals here, beginning of June, just in a couple weeks or so. So it'll be interesting to see who these last two teams end up being and what ends up transpiring or whatnot. Before we go, just the MVP. Shea was announced MVP. Um, I think early in the season we both said that he would get the MVP, but do you think that he should have gotten it or should have been Jokic? Just looking at numbers and things like that. I'm still sticking with Shea, but it's the same thing about last year. Everybody said Lucas should have been in. Even though he was the fifth seed. But what are your thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, I'm like Shea definitely deserved it. It's not like I don't think he didn't deserve it. I personally think I would have looked at Jokic still. Like, I know I was saying shy, but I think it's also because we talk about this like voter fatigue. I mean, Jokic has won it 3 years out of the past 4 or 5 or something. Like,
Yeah,
I think it just gets to the point too where like when someone's due, if they just even have a relatively good season, like they're gonna get it. And that's not to take away from Shea, because like Shea definitely deserved it in the end of the day. I'm not saying that. Just like I think you take Jokic off that Nuggets team, like they're probably not even making the playoffs. You take
yeah,
Shea off the Thunder, like don't get me wrong, they're definitely not that one seed doing all that, but I think there's more impact on Jokic being taken off. Or if you were just basically to flip flop, I know it'd be a little different there just because it's like Jamal Murray. It's just like position wise, it wouldn't make too much sense. But like, I think it'd be interesting. I definitely think Shai deserved it or Shea deserved it. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is at the end of the day. I think Jokic put up one hell of a season. Same thing with Shai. So it's like I got no like legitimate like Jokic definitely should have won it or anything like that. It's just I personally probably would lean Jokic a little bit more, but that's
yeah,
that.
yeah. No, I agree. Like you said, the voter fatigue. Like Jokic wasn't winning his fourth in the last 6 7 years. Like that's just no. Because if that would have happened, then all the LeBron fans would have gotten in a fit and thrown something. So
Right here.
yeah,
There you
they
go.
yeah. Everyone's like, oh, 2020. Yeah, I don't want to hear it. So it is what it is. But yeah, I think he was deserving of it. A lot of people said whoever won that game 7 that was going to be the MVP. So we'll never know if that was the case. But at least for this year it was. So shout out Yoki did have a good season, but Shea, it's just I was thinking about it today. Just the biggest what if Kawhi would have just waited, and said no on the Paul George, just like let's see the development of Shea, let's see what happens. So I'm not saying that it was still the worst trade in NBA history, like every other person thinks it is, because they've had the same amount of success. Like the Thunder, since that trade, have been to one conference finals. It's this year. Clippers made one conference finals. So if they win it all, then I'll say yeah, I guess they won the trade, but I still do that trade, within a heartbeat 6 years ago, seeing as the level of Paul George he was at. But present day, yeah, I definitely
No.
wish SGA was still on the Clippers. It'd be
Pandemic P.
oh yeah, yeah. So pandemic peak for sure, man, for real. But yeah, so that's all we got for you guys today. We will catch you guys next week. To talk about the conference finals and look at the finals. But until then, we will catch you guys next time.